Welcome to Matter of Action. I'm Christian Gomez, and today's topic, we're going to discuss effective ways to hold your congressman accountable to the Constitution and fiscal restraint. And joining us today to discuss this is Peter Rykowski, Research Associate at the John Birch Society here. Peter, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me on, Christian.
Okay, so Peter, some of our old-time members will remember back in the day in the 1980s and 90s and 70s and early 2000s, we used to have the old trim bulletins. And, our JBS members will recall how you'd get the trim bulletin mailed to you, read a little article here about back to basic principles, and on the back we'd have, in this case, Congressman Bob Stump of Arizona. You'd see 7 votes, how he voted, whether good or bad, and the cost per household of how much those votes were costing the American people. This was a pretty effective tool back in the day, but we've come up with something very similar to this, haven't we?
Yeah, we've just come out with a new tool called the Congressional Scorecard, which is very similar to TRIM with several very important exceptions. One of which is that the Congressional Scorecard includes both the U.S. representatives and the U.S. senators, since TRIM only included the U.S. representatives at first. But the purpose is really the same. It's to educate Americans about what the Constitution says and the principles of individual freedom, personal responsibility, and also to hold our members of Congress accountable to the Constitution and to evaluate, what are they voting on, and is it consistent with the Constitution, or are they voting in favor of measures that are completely unconstitutional?
Now, the New American already has the Freedom Index. How is this different from the Freedom Index?
Well, the scorecard is something that you can take to your individual representative or senator. For example, if he's having a meeting, you can bring this scorecard. It only lists that representative or that senator's votes. The Freedom Index will list every single member of Congress, but this is personalized, so it's a lot more effective for like a town hall meeting or something like that.
And the Freedom Index doesn't have the cost per household like the new Congressman Scorecard does.
That's right. The scorecard includes how much each bill will cost a typical American household.
So where do members and those watching this video, where do they get the scorecard? Because back in the day with TRIM, you had to call in the JBS home office, and we would mail these to you for your congressional district. How do they get a copy of the scorecard?
Yes, we've designed the scorecards so that you can print it out on your own personal printer at home. You don't need to order it from anyone. You don't need special paper. You can print it out just on your regular printer. And you can find it really through, there are actually several ways to find it. But first things first, go to thenewamerican.com. Don't go to jbs.org, go to thenewamerican.com, or alternatively, go to thefreedomindex.org. Both websites are identical. They're the same. There's no difference between them. They're both great places to go to find the scorecard. So for this demonstration, I'm going to thenewamerican.com, and there are really 2 ways to find the scorecard. One of them is by searching your U.S. representative or U.S. senator in the search bar, searching their name, and then you'll find their profile and you'll be able to see the scorecard. Another method is to click on the button that says Scorecard underneath the current Congress, just below the search bar. And in this case, right now, it's the 117th. That's the current Congress right now. So I'm going to do the first method to find the scorecard. So I'm going to type a particular senator here, Ron Johnson, just as an example. I'm going to search him. And sometimes if the senator or representative has a very generic name, there will be multiple search results, but in this case, there's only one for Ron Johnson. And when I'm at his profile, I'll need to scroll down right under the tab that says Voting History. And I click on it, and it'll give me various options. I'll need to click the one that says Scorecard. And then I have to click Search. And then at the very bottom of the Scorecard page I just clicked on, you can actually find the various Scorecard PDFs. And these come in multiple forms. You can have it in a portrait mode. You can have it in a bifold format, where you fold it up sort of like a book. Or you can have a compact format, which is less information, but you can really print out one piece of paper and then cut it in half. Then you really have two scorecards. Another really great feature is that you can customize the PDFs with your contact information. So I will demonstrate that right now. So I have typed in personal information, and now I can choose between the various formats on which one to upload. So I'll do the portrait format just for this example, and it opens up a new tab, and you see it shows Senator Johnson, the votes, whether they were constitutional or not, how much the votes cost per household, and then at the bottom you can see the contact information, and then on the second page it shows just expanded descriptions of the various votes.
Now, if somebody wanted to print, let's say, the bifold version, they don't have to have the contact information, right? So how do they go about printing it? Because this is a double-sided feature. There's some instructions as to how to print it properly so you don't get it cut off, right?
That's right. There are several things you need to keep in mind when printing. For each scorecard format, whether it's portrait, bifold, or compact, you need to print double-sided. For the bifold and the compact formats, the orientation needs to be in landscape mode. You can do portrait mode for the portrait format. And then for the bifold and compact formats, you need to have the printer flip the page on the short edge, not the long edge, specifically for the bifold and compact.
If you're using like a laser printer, yeah.
Right. And then for each of the formats, you need to make sure that your printer settings are set to fit to paper, because if you don't do that, if it's default rather than fit to paper, then it won't print out the right way. So those are very important things to keep in mind. You can also print it in full color, or you can print it black and white, and black and white is very useful when using colored paper, which is something that we encourage because it makes the scorecards a lot more noticeable, and then you can print it using different colored paper.
Yeah, for example, here I have one that's printed in pink, on bright pink, neon pink paper, and it's Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. So let's say she has a town hall meeting, you want to educate voters on how she's voting, whether it's constitutional or not. You have all her scores back there, and the cost per household on the various bills. Well, this is an impressive tool, Peter. Thank you so much for taking the time to demonstrate it for us. And for those watching again, thenewamerican.com or thefreedomindex.org to get your scorecard on your U.S. representative and both of your U.S. senators. Thank you, and God bless.